What's going on? Move the Mouse here. It is Friday, October 6th, and the Battlefront 2 open beta is here. It's free to play on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC, so start downloading it now if you haven't already and find out what it's all about. I will say right out of the gate that I think they've made a lot of improvements over the last Battlefront. That game I don't think was worth $60. It had multiplayer only, it was really missing that single player campaign, and I think that's one of the biggest differences here. Although we don't get to see that as part of the beta, we can see some trailers and information about it. But multiplayer only for $60 was a hard pill to swallow with that last game, and the multiplayer content was a little bit limited, and it was a little strange how they did some of the DLC. And I think they've taken a lot of the feedback and criticism they got from that first game and made a lot of improvements here. Starting off, there are more maps, more heroes, and more vehicles. In some cases, 3 times as many. Now, there aren't more modes when it comes to multiplayer, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. One of the problems with the last Battlefront was that the player base got really segregated across the different DLCs, which all had different player counts. So if you were playing in one pool, you could never play with those playing another pool. It really led to some of the playlists being underpopulated shortly after they were released. This time around, all of the DLC is free, so any new maps that they add in are going to be available to everybody, and with a reduced number of modes, it shouldn't split the player base up that much. One of the biggest changes that they've added in is the class system. So you have access to Assault, Heavy, Specialist, and Officer. The one that I've been enjoying the most by far is the Heavy, but they all fit a particular role in the battlefield. They also have access to different star cards. So you can't mix and match like you could in the last one, but what this does is this forces people into particular roles, and I think ultimately it leads to better team play because you end up supporting the team more just by playing your particular role. Now there's 14 heroes on offer in the final game. You can play Rey, Han Solo, Boba Fett, and Darth Maul in the beta. And one big change regarding the heroes is they are butter soft now. They are a lot easier to take out. They've got some pretty powerful abilities, and they're definitely still fun to play, but you can damage them a lot faster. Although they do regenerate health, so it's important that once you start damaging that hero, you keep damaging them, otherwise they're going to come back with more health than you left them. Now in this beta, there are 3 main multiplayer modes. There's Galactic Assault, which is 20v20. And it's a one-sided battle where one team is trying to storm the palace, the other team's trying to defend against that. Another mode called Strike is 8v8, and it's sort of a capture the flag mode. Again, it's one-sided attack and defense. I like the mode, but I think the spawn system really needs some work there. Starfighter Assault is the new flying mode, similar to Fighter Squadron from before, except this time you're actually piloting the planes. The controls are a little weird, they're not exactly how I would want them, but before you had this very kind of autopilot system, but now you can actually control rudders and yaw, where you couldn't in the last one. Now I'm not the best pilot, so I'm particularly bad at the mode, but if you found that the flying in the last Battlefront was a little lacking, you may find some great improvement here. Certainly those that are better at piloting aircraft in general will probably be a lot better, and therefore dominant in these modes. For my money though, Galactic Assault is where it's at. That's the 20v20 mode that again is attack and defense oriented, but it's definitely some of the most fun that I've had. As before, the game looks and sounds great. That was never a criticism of the first Battlefront. What was missing was the content. With it adding single player, with it adding more maps, heroes, and vehicles, I think again that they've addressed a lot of the concerns people had about the last game. If you enjoyed the last Battlefront, I think this one's a no-brainer. It's going to be great in comparison. If you felt that the first one was lacking something, then this definitely should address some of those issues. However, if your complaint was with the gameplay, the actual mechanics and feel of the moving and shooting, I don't think that's going to be any different for you. So again, if you enjoyed it before, you're going to love this. If you did not enjoy it before, though, it's not going to feel dramatically different from a gameplay perspective, so that's worth noting. Now, Blast and Heroes vs. Villains are not available here, but they're not new game types, so there's nothing that we really need to talk about there if you've played any of the first Battlefront. So let's talk about the 4 classes real quick. By forcing players into classes, you force them into certain roles on the battlefield, and it works very well in the Battlefield series, and I'm glad that they brought that back into Battlefront. The Assault has semi-auto assault weapons. They have access to a thermal detonator, a scan dart which can reveal enemy positions, and that middle ability, which is usually the strongest of the three, is a pretty powerful shotgun that you can switch to. Next up is the heavy, and this is by far my favorite kit. They have access to the impact grenades by default. The sentry gun is that middle ability. That's a chain gun that puts out massive damage but causes you to move really slow. And same thing with the combat shield. It prevents you from moving, but it pops up a shield in front of your gun so you can still fire and go on the offensive even when you're, say, taking fire from the side. You can pop it, quickly turn, and activate that. Now, the officer is actually my least favorite because of their guns. The pistols are garbage, to put it lightly, but they do have the blaster turret, which was a pickup in the previous game. Now the officers can drop that. They also have access to the flash grenade, and although it's my least favorite kit overall, that battle command ability enables you to affect the cooldown of other soldiers around you. So even though I wasn't really enjoying the kit that much, it was one that I was ranking up fastest and getting the most battle points with because it seems to help your team a lot. Last up is the specialist or sniper, and they've got a couple abilities in the form of the shock grenade and the thermal binoculars. Those binoculars actually let you see through walls to see enemy positions, but they also have the infiltration ability, and it allows you to move around really quick with a medium range burst fire rifle, and you disappear from enemy radar when you activate it, so you can get in behind enemy lines and take people out really fast. It's a pretty fun kit, but overall I keep coming back to the heavy the most. It's what I've really been enjoying running around with. One thing that we do have to talk about is microtransactions. So the maps, modes, heroes, anything new that comes out, all that DLC is going to be included in your initial cost. What is going to be paid, though, are microtransactions. So as you progress and rank up your character, you're going to unlock credits, as well as the occasional loot crate. These will give you access to new star cards, new hero skins, as well as parts that you can use to upgrade or modify weapons and other cards. Now, you do get a crate for logging in every day, which is nice. It encourages people to come back and play the game regularly. But the problem is some of these star cards have some dramatic improvements in some of their abilities when you upgrade them. So someone that drops a bunch of money on microtransactions can definitely have an advantage early on. It's nothing that you can't earn in-game, but again, some of these changes to those star cards, going from a standard card to a legendary card, are pretty dramatic. So for example, in Starfighter Assault, the new Fighter Squadron mode, there's an ability for your droid to heal your ship. The base repair value will restore 15% of your overall health. Whereas if you have a legendary version of that card, it restores 100% of your health. And then there are similar offensive cards that can dramatically increase the damage that weapons do, the time it takes to lock onto enemies, all sorts of things. So although again, it's not something that you can't earn by continuously playing the game over long periods of time, it is something that does provide an advantage if you wanted to plunk down a bunch of money into those microtransactions to get a bunch of those crates. It's a little dodgy. It's kind of borderline pay to win. It's really going to be tough to tell until the game comes out, but it's something to keep an eye on. Battlefront 2 comes out November 17th on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. So definitely check it out this weekend during the open beta if you want to get a feel for what it's like and if it's right for you. But at the end of the day, I think if you enjoyed the last game, you're going to enjoy this one as well too, and there's a lot more content on offer. There are some small differences, but I think they've done a really good job improving the mechanics of the first game without changing the engine around too much, which is one of the things I was very happy with. If you're on the fence though, really, you should take a look at this while it's available, because it should give you some good insight. If you felt that it just wasn't worth $60 last time, I think the inclusion of the campaign and some of the other modes really gives you more bang for your buck. But again, if you just didn't like the gameplay of the last one, they haven't changed anything around dramatically with the movement, with the gunplay. So if that was your major gripe, I'd probably stay away from this one. But that's it. I just wanted to give you a quick idea of Battlefront 2, what the beta's like, and how I've been enjoying it. I'm definitely excited to get into this one this fall, and I'm sure we'll be playing lots this winter. Check back on the channel for more Battlefront news and gameplay coming very soon. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are you excited for this one? Is it a hard pass? Let me know down in the comments. If you're new here, subscribe. We do all kinds of great game videos. There'll be lots more Battlefront news and gameplay in the coming months. Until the next one, though, I'll leave you with a video in the top right that I think you might enjoy, and in the bottom right, one that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. But until the next one, this is Move the Mouse, signing off.